So, is relative identity ad hoc? So, recently I've seen that as an objection being popularized by Jake the Muslim Metaphysician. And what I've seen as his source for that is Peter Van Inwagen, who says that it seems like relative identity is only relevant and or used for the Trinity. So there's two things I got to say about this, just to clear some things up for Christians, my brothers, my sisters, and hopefully provide some confidence that this is not a valid objection. So the first thing I have to say is just flat out deny that claim that it is ad hoc, which is just to say that something is being used against an overwhelming norm for to sort of special plead for a case, to try to explain away some issue, some contradiction, some conceptual misunderstanding, something. So is that what's happening for the Trinity? Well, no. I mean, if you read Peter Geach and you understood what he was saying, then you would understand that the issue between relative identity and absolute identity, or counting by identity, is about a more fundamental issue about what's happening with the identity operator. It's about whether or not the domain which is being ranged over and the equal sign is being put in between them are individuated before we even get to counting at all. Which is to say that the concept includes the count of individuation, which is what Peter Geach is saying. So, I don't know, maybe you have ran into some people who said that we only use it for the Trinity, but the classical relative identity theorists, Griffin, Geach, and others do not only use it for the Trinity. They think that, especially for things concerning experience, that it's used for all of those things. But the stronger version is that it's used for everything. That's the version I hold to, is that it cannot be ad hoc if you're claiming that it's being used for everything. The second point that I want to make is, let's say that it is only being used for the Trinity. Let's just put that out there, a thought experiment. So what? What's the conclusion of that? Well, the conclusion that they're going to imply, or if not flat out say, is that, well, if it's only used for the Trinity, that lowers the plausibility of your theory being true. Well, what does that imply? Well, that implies that what it means for a theory or model of God to be true is that it directly corresponds. Why do we have to hold to that view? I never held to that view. What I see is that things that are revealed through divine revelation, like through scripture and the church, like the Trinity, like the incarnation, like Immaculate Conception, those things are not negotiable. The things that are negotiable are the things we construct to explain the things that were revealed to us through God. So I take an instrumentalist view of these models. So based off that, it's not like there's any true models in the sense that they directly correspond to God or to the essence or any of that, but rather the models are approximations. They are pragmatic tools for providing clarity, for systematizing doctrine, for allowing a broader outreach of understanding. And to me, a model becomes the true model if, in a pragmatic sense and an instrumentalist sense, it's indexed to clarity, understanding, and the ability to explain and elucidate doctrine, divine revelation. The truth is not indexed to the model itself corresponding, which is being implied when we say something is ad hoc about a model of God. So what is the issue then? If someone says, well, it's ad hoc, you're only using this to explain the Trinity. Okay, so what? Therefore what? Because And if that's just it, or they're saying, oh, I just wanted to prove it's ad hoc, then it's just a rhetorical trick. They just want to use the term ad hoc because it's stigmatized. But if you just take away the word ad hoc and you replace it with the definition of ad hoc, then it's like it just becomes extraordinarily trivial. I'm using models of God like I'm using tools, like I'm using binoculars to see a mountain, right? The binocular may not 100% describe the mountain, but that doesn't mean that it's not giving me a good description of what's going on. So thank you guys for watching. Just wanted to provide some clarity on what is considered an objection, which I see as just a triviality and a rhetorical ploy for other religions to try to attack our blessed Trinity. Thank you.